Hello and welcome back to another installment of Nostalgic or Problematic here on Generation in Between, a Xennial Podcast. I'm Katie.
And I am Dani.
And if you've been sticking with us on this, we are rewatching Dawson's Creek Season 1. And today we're going to talk about Episode 3. So if you have not listened to our overarching episode or episodes 1 or 2, you might want to go back and do that. If you've never watched an episode of Dawson's Creek in your entire life, I think you should still stick around because I think you're going to enjoy what we talk about. All sorts of late 90s, early 2000s fashion, music, culture, attitudes, media, things that probably are still pretty interesting.
Yep.
And as a reminder, we are rewatching on Amazon Prime. So if you're an Amazon Prime member, that is free to you, but you can also watch wherever. Maybe you even have the DVD box set still.
I know.
You could watch that if you wanted.
Crazy.
Yeah, so I'm excited.
All right, so Season 1, Episode 3 is titled Kiss. I realized last week all the episode titles are just one word.
Oh.
And I wrote it down wrong because last time it was dance and I said the dance.
Oh.
But it was just dance. So this one is Kiss.
Okay. Now we know.
So here's the official summary. As he's forced to work on a rival's film, Dawson plots to record his own first kiss with Jen. Joey misleads a wealthy suitor as Pacey uses his failing grades to get Tamara's attention. Oh, Tamara. Sorry.
Tamara.
Again with Tamara.
I listened this time for that, and it is Tamara.
Yeah, that's
You're
what
right.
I thought. Yeah.
Okay. So not a whole lot problematic in the summary. I mean, the Pacey Tamara stuff's just on its face terrible. I guess they still said Tamara and not Miss Jacobs, his teacher. So that is problematic. See?
I know.
It's just becoming normal in my brain.
That's what's scary, right?
That's scary, yeah.
Well, let's just go over the happies. Okay, so just so y'all remember, when I rewatch and take notes, I write down happy faces and frowny faces. Katie uses hearts and red X's.
Correct.
Okay. So let's do our happy things first. So you go first.
Okay. Again, I really love the writing of this show. That's one of my favorite parts of it. So a lot of times my happy will just literally be a line.
Yeah.
But one that I really liked, and it was in the first scene when Joey and Dawson are rewatching From Here to Eternity.
Yes.
Black and white on TV. And they're rewatching this famous beach scene. It's in black and white and all this. And Dawson's like, oh, yes, that's how it's going to be for me and Jen. And Joey's just kind of okay, that's a movie. That's not real. And she says, you can't storyboard a kiss.
Yes.
And I loved that.
I know.
You can't have everything just perfect like you would for shooting a film scene for a kiss. But Dawson's argument then was well, sure you can.
Right.
People like you make it hard to do that because you're a cynic, Joey.
Right.
But yeah, you could have the perfect conditions for a kiss.
And I mean, I agree with them.
Yeah.
Even though Dawson gets on my nerves,
he's right.
We said
possible.
last time I was Dawson, which is why he annoys me. So I get it.
My first one.
Yeah, I love that. Mine was the first thing I wrote about that just made me, because sometimes this isn't good things, it's just things that make me smile.
Yes.
So they're filming Helmets of Glory.
Helmets of Glory.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
It's this big, huge production for this one small film class at this small town public school. And they have all these kids in it, all this fancy equipment, all this thing. And it just made me laugh. It's so unrealistic, which is why it's so enjoyable to watch, right?
Exactly.
And so why we all would watch these shows back in the day and be like, man, I wish I went to a school like that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then Dawson saving the day with his film technique.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so they're trying to run film while these two football players are running down the field, and they can't figure out how to do it without jostling the camera around. So Dawson is so innovative. He goes and grabs a wheelchair that they're using for another scene and sits in it, and Pacey pulls him as he's filming, and ta-da, saves the shot.
Yes.
I loved that.
I loved the innovation as well. And one thing I noticed about the high school too, so their high school's Cape Side.
Yes.
And Saved by the Bell was Bayside. Remember that? So like, I was like, I bet if I keep looking, I'll find like Seaside and like all this different stuff. Like, it was just funny. I was like, even the naming conventions for these pretend high schools where you wanted to go are similar.
Yeah. And Buffy the Vampire Slayer was like Sunnydale or something like that. Or something.
Yes, you're right. I think it was Sunnydale.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways. Oh my gosh, that's a good one. Well, in that same scene I was talking about where they were watching From Here to Eternity and they're arguing about if you can do a perfect romantic kiss like the movies. I just love that there was a Brad Pitt and Sandra Bullock reference.
Yeah, that was so of the time.
That was so great because like we still talk about them to an extent, but like then it was like I had to be like, oh, but she's talking about 1998 Brad Pitt and Sandra Bullock, not like modern day. So I just thought that was really funny, and then they just kept like talking after that. And I had one more from that scene. They're talking about Jen, and the perfect kiss, and at first I was like, I don't know if this is good or bad, but I ended up putting it in the good because it did make me smile and giggle. Joey calls Jen Wonder Bra. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
She's like, so you got to get your kiss from Wonder Bra. And then she kept talking. And I was like, oh, she's talking about Jen.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, I don't know about that. But I'm like, it made me smile because it's such a 90s reference.
I know.
Too.
Do they still make Wonder Bras?
Probably. So if you don't know what a Wonder Bra is, I mean, essentially, it's every bra that you can get at Victoria's Secret nowadays.
It's extreme push-up bra.
Extreme push-up. Yeah.
I totally had one.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely did too. It definitely did too. But it was like what you could do if you didn't have fake ones.
I mean, and it made you like 2 sizes bigger, I swear.
Yeah.
That's
why
it's called the Wonder Bra.
Yeah. So Joey
it probably wasn't very nice.
It probably wasn't very nice, but
it still made Katie smile. So
it did. So I was like, you know what? Yep. That's a sick burn. I'm going to use it. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm going to do it.
I love that. Well, my other happy was when Joey has her little meetup with the rich kid. Anderson is his name, which is so perfect.
Anderson Crawford.
I know, right? So she walks up and he's like literally playing a violin on his sailboat. Yeah. Right? Yeah. On break from boarding school. Like, come on. I love this. He's cute. He's rich. He's cultured. It's so cheesy and it's just so perfect. And it's so a straight teenage girl's dream, right?
100%.
I mean, let's say, let me fix that. A straight, white, middle class teenage girl.
Basically, it would have been our dream. So whatever we were or are, that.
Oh, God, I keep hitting the microphone today.
So we've had a lot of sugar.
God.
Just as a disclaimer, if you're listening to these separately, right before this, we recorded a candy taste testing episode, and there was Fun Dip involved.
Gross.
And just a lot happening and 2 starbursts at once, and
it was busy.
If we're talking a little fast or laughing a little more than usual or hitting our microphone, that's why.
That's totally why. But so I loved that. It was so cute. And then she had that little day date with him, and they like sailed to a deserted beach, and they were playing frisbee in the sand. It was so J. Crew and just right.
Put that down.
Yeah.
Yes. So I have like all that same stuff.
Oh,
Anderson Crawford, Joey, and same thing. Like I wrote cliche, but like I loved it. That
I know
that like she sees him. Oh, that's what it is. He walks in and their eyes lock.
Yes.
And Dawson and Pacey, I think, and maybe Jen was there. No, I think it was Dawson and Pacey.
Yeah,
only.
it was just the 2 of them.
The 2 guys, and they're like, who is that? And she's like, what are you talking about? They're like, the guy who just broke your neck. Like, she's like, I've never seen him before. So then as the audience, you're like, oh, okay, she really doesn't know that guy. She just thought he was cute. Next thing you know, violin music is floating through the air. She, like the Pied Piper, she follows the sound.
Loved it.
Follows it to a sailboat. Where he's just out in the open playing his violin. But he was super cute. And he says to her in that moment with the boat, he said, I bet people find you charming. To Joey, and she goes, I haven't asked. I loved that.
I know.
It's like he's trying to flirt with her, and she's like, I don't care if people find me charming.
But I mean, wit.
You could tell she,
of course,
had a little crush on him, but still,
that was her thing.
Yeah, I really, really like that. And I did say Joey's boat look, very J. Crew.
See.
The bathing suit, and it was literally J. Crew. It was
literally
not just like, oh, it looked like J. Crew. It literally was, but it was like iconic J. Crew.
Yeah.
For sure.
From the 90s for
absolutely
sure. Okay. So now that we're talking about them and the dates, let's talk about Dawson and Joey's first kisses, because I also had happy faces by this, because they were also so fictional because my first kiss was a mess. And I think most people's first kisses are a mess, right? They're a mess. Not that they're not a lovely mess, but, you know, it was because Joey had her little first kiss on the dock with Anderson, and it was like so cute and sweet and smooth. And then Dawson, like he had planned this elaborate nonsense, and then they ended up having their first kiss in the bushes when they're like hiding
under the little stairs or whatever.
And it was so cute. And again,
so cute. And you could like hear running water.
Yes. And again, so unlike most teenagers' first kisses. Yeah. By the way.
Now, I think in your lifetime you experience kisses like that.
But not your first kiss.
Not your first one ever. No, definitely
and
not.
Most of the time, not when you're a teenager.
Most of the time, no. and certainly not two teenagers from the same high school in the same day.
I'm like eating my microphone today. I don't know.
You guys, it's like, all the zero bar.
Oh,
it's
like is.
Really, I blame the gum, actually.
It is the gum. Yeah. Yes. So what else did you have?
So this episode was interesting because I had a few that I was like, is it good? Is it not? Like the Wonder Bra thing. One of mine was Nellie. She was the blonde girl who was the producer on the Helmets of Glory. I kind of liked when she told Dawson off. I know. She was like, because she has all these ideas and he keeps interjecting. He's like, oh, you should do this. Kind of what we would call now mansplaining.
Right.
A lot.
But
the way she's written, it's written that she's kind of bossy. Because she's bossy. But she says to him, I've been working on this for like 8 months or whatever. And you just walk in like, no, know your place. Stop.
Yeah.
And it's written to kind of be like, oh, but she just should have listened to him in the first place.
Right.
Because he had all these great ideas, which I didn't love. But like, I was kind of like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And also, it's like a high school class. Who cares?
And she's a senior and he was a sophomore.
You should go with your idea, Nellie.
Yes.
Tell him to back the F up.
And he's not even in the class. He's observing the class.
And I mean, and then she gets like nastier as it goes on. I know. Like at one point, she's like, just sit like a dog or sit and stay like a dog or whatever.
It was very over the top.
Okay, that's a little too much. But like the general idea that she was in charge and he was kind of demeaning her authority or undermining her, I was like, yeah, she should be mad about that.
Well, it kind of is that whole like women in power have to be bitchy or bossy instead of,
and then they're proven wrong,
and then they're Which it kind of fell into that
whole camera thing.
Right.
And Dawson kept saying, let me try it. And she kept saying no. So then it's Scott Foley is like, wait a minute. Let's hear him out.
Yeah.
Okay, dude, give it a shot. And then it's like the bros figure it out.
Yeah.
I did not like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, I think Nellie's misunderstood.
Yeah.
I really do.
Because she was written by men.
Yeah. So anyway, that was one I had like
you weren't sure about.
I like her, but also I don't like some of the things that happened. So
that makes sense.
Yeah. And then another just good one that I put, like, these are just random thoughts. Joey's sister, the pregnant sister, and the boyfriend or fiance or husband. Yeah. Them being on again. It just made me, I was like, oh, good. They're in this episode. And it was like their restaurant, and it just made me happy that they were there. And you can really see like how much both of those adult characters really care about Joey. Even if it's like a non-traditional family unit, even if they quote unquote parent non-traditionally, like she kind of is very independent, just does her own thing, whatever. You could really see like the care, like when they weren't sure where she had been or she was late to work. And it just made me like kind of get warm and fuzzy. Like, oh, I really like how that was written actually. So I don't know. That was another one that I liked.
Okay. My last thing that I liked was still about the kiss.
We're back.
Because you know how Dawson like made that whole romantic like setup, even though it didn't work.
No,
I still loved it because it was so cheesy. And in real life, I like the cheesy setting, the sunset, the candles, the music. I totally fall into that cliche of things like with cheesy setups, just because I think the main thing is that he actually cared enough to really try and make that a special. Now, I think he did that for selfish reasons.
Right.
Yeah.
Meaning because he was trying to get the kiss?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But I still thought it was cute and I liked the cheesiness of it.
And the forethought is just nice.
I know.
I agree.
I thought it was great.
Yeah. And let me see, what else did I have? Did I get everything? Oh, just in giant. Scott Foley.
I love this.
Okay, I love Scott Foley.
I know. I'm like, I think Katie has a thing for him.
I was like, wait a minute. I don't like Dawson or Pacey. I like Scott Foley.
He's almost gone, though. He's not going to be on much longer.
That's going to be an X
when he's gone.
Another line I liked is, so again, Dawson kind of weasels his way into being on the film set for Helmets of Glory. And he's there. I can't say that title without laughing.
I know.
And Jen got invited to be in it as well.
As a
so
cheerleader.
she's in like a cheerleading outfit. Again, men wrote the show, y'all.
I know.
Okay. So he says to her, hey, like, what are you doing here? And I thought this was really cute. She said, or he goes, why are you here? Or why are you here? And she goes, because I knew you'd be here. Duh.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so sweet.
It's cute.
Because so much of the writing is like him, like, oh, Jen, perfect. Does she like me? Da, 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 da. And she was just basically being like, yeah, I like you. You'd be here, so I came. And I think we've all been there. Like where we've done like, even in school, like in a project or a club or something because someone we had a crush on was there.
Yeah.
Like, of course, you know? So I just thought that was really relatable. And then the part where Joey lies about her name. To Anderson, the cute guy, and then he comes in and sees her, and he's like, "Oh, hey, Deborah." She like used the movie star's name, and Dawson is just being so aggravating, and he's like, "Who's Deborah? What are you talking about?"
Annoying, Katie. He's annoying,
and they're all like trying to give him hints. He's like, "New York, what blah blah," and Jen just goes, "Oh, we don't call her Deborah because we call her Deb."
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, female
girl power.
solidarity.
Yes.
Like empower the lying. Thank you.
Like,
appreciate that. That's how
Dawson.
it was almost like she didn't need an explanation. She's like, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm just going to back her up. That's good enough for me. Yeah. And I liked that. And then just in general, the whole Anderson storyline, I just liked. Yeah. I mean, I liked and I didn't because it was like a little heart-wrenching that Joey felt like she couldn't be herself. But the fact that like that moment when she says the name of the restaurant and you can see that he knows that she's lying.
Yeah.
And he gives her his number, which later hopefully we find out if that was real or not. He still like gives her a kiss and like you said, like the very romantic moment that doesn't go too far or anything. And then they part ways. And I just was like, that was just so sweet.
He never comes back, though.
He never does.
No.
Dang. And she just throws the phone number out the window.
I don't know. That plot line never comes back.
That's too bad.
He was just there for a minute.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, she had a special day, I guess.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into the...
Yes.
Let's get into the exit. Okay. So obviously we have lots to say about Pacey and Miss Jacobs, whatever her name is. Lord.
So do you have anything outside of that? I only have like one.
I actually don't.
Okay, I have one.
Okay, what is it?
So we'll do that first.
What is your...
And this is the almost 42-year-old mom, true crime fan.
Oh.
Joey getting on a boat.
Girl.
With someone she didn't know.
Right.
By herself. And going to this like deserted island. I was like, no. Even though I knew, I've seen the show. It's Dawson's Creek. It's not that kind of show. But also normalizing that.
I know.
Like just like meeting a cute guy and being like, sure, I'll go with you by myself and not tell anyone where I'm going.
Right. Or who I'm with.
And at that time, she wouldn't have even had a cell phone. No. People could track. And I was just like, I mean, again, at the time it was written, like you wouldn't have had those things.
Still happen.
Well, no, yeah, exactly. I'm just saying like it wasn't an option to be like, track me. Yes. But like, yeah, like then I thought, oh wow, did this normalize this kind of behavior? Because like you don't meet up with people you don't know, or if you just met them, you don't go anywhere with them. Like no way, especially teens. And I'm thinking of my own girls, and I'm like, my gosh. I could see them watching this episode and being like, oh, that was really sweet, that was really romantic. But then I'm gonna have to be like, but don't ever do it.
But don't you dare.
They can come over to the house or something. You are not getting on a boat
right
with someone like and Joey, you're lying about who you are.
Exactly.
So who's to say he's not doing the same thing?
Well, right.
So that to me was like, oh man.
Red flag.
As like, I get where they were trying to make the storyline and it was supposed to exist outside of her real life. So you had to kind of take it away. But I was just like, this is not good. This is dangerous behavior.
Right. So. Even for on the flip side, on his side too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's inviting some girl he doesn't know onto his boat and you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And if it's clear you've got a lot of money,
right,
men or women, they could try to rob you, kill you, hijack you. Like, you're right. Both ways for sure.
For sure.
I guess I was just thinking of like my own kids.
Oh, no. Well, because
I have a son too, but like,
right.
You know, but because we see it through Joey's eyes. But yes.
Correct.
Both ways. Don't invite someone in your car, in your boat to your house who you do not know, or leave a bar with them or whatever. And also like, don't go with those people.
Right.
Just don't do it. And if it's meant to be, you'll get to know them. And you could do all those things down the road.
Right.
But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
So that was my only one outside
of
the Pacey, Miss Jacobs storyline.
Nonsense.
That was problematic to me.
Yeah. That classroom tutoring scene.
Oh, no.
Girl. It bothered me so much because she kept saying first of all, she's acting all innocent about it. That is annoying. She was like, oh, I'm just here to help you. Girl, whatever. And she kept saying over and over, like, oh, I can't do this. We're not doing this, Pacey, blah, blah, blah. At the same time, she's sitting seductively on her desk. You know, her feet were up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she was staying late at school to help him. And then there was that whole like fake out moment where she's like, okay, fine, Pacey, let's just go. Get on the desk. You know, and she was just trying to like embarrass him. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, what? It's not your first time, is it? And then he's all embarrassed. And he's says, like,
yeah, you know
it is. And I was just like, okay, what the hell? What is this? Like, all of it was just like, what is so bad? And then he says, I wrote this down. The moment in the class where she's going on and on about how it's like problematic. And he goes, I'm a firm believer that sometimes it's right to do the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. Ooh, no.
And also, even if you are, again, you're 15.
You're 15 talking about sleeping with a teacher.
Right. Like, how is that? Then it's her job to be like, well, I'm sorry you think that, but that's not the way it should be. Because like,
well, and she's doing
wisdom.
She's doing that whole thing where it's like, no. But then she's sending mixed messages.
Totally. And it didn't occur to me till just now when you were talking about how she's like, well, it's not your first time, is it? You know, that's stuff that manipulative abusers do.
100%.
They make you feel
bad or ashamed.
Self-conscious or ashamed, or like they have the upper hand. And like that was her making him feel like that.
And also, he is 15 years old.
Right.
Why wouldn't he be a virgin?
Exactly.
I mean, like that's another, like on a like an abstract idea. Again, we are having this child perceived as a grown man.
Right.
Right? Instead of as a child. And her saying that to him just further solidifies that idea, because it's like, oh, well, it's not your first time, is it? Like, why wouldn't it be, lady?
Yeah, like that's perfectly
15.
normal for men and women, young men and young women to be virgins at 15 and older.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Correct. He is not even legal to drive. I keep saying that because it's just like, my mind's blown.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not putting shame on anybody for anything that they have done in their life. I'm not doing that. My point is what they're doing in that relationship is trying to establish him as this like grown person who can like have this relationship with another grown person.
Exactly. Yeah. If you were not a virgin when you were 15, okay.
Yeah. Your business.
Who cares? Your business. But it's perfectly normal at that age to be. So
exactly.
Yeah, to kind of like frame it like that. Well, and I wrote down just about that scene, particularly the tutoring scene where she says, I don't know, like if you do a good job, I might have some positive reinforcement.
Yeah. And then he's there and he's like, well, what's the positive reinforcement? And she's like, it's your good grades. And I'm like, okay, see, she's leading him on.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I don't know, like,
it's like, how could you think it'd be anything else?
Right.
It's like, well, why?
Because you did that.
Because you set him up for that.
Ew.
Yeah. I didn't like that.
And then the end of the episode.
Okay, well, hold on. I have one more before that.
Did you have one more? Okay.
I have one more. Sorry. And it's back when they're at the restaurant and Joey first sees Anderson and Pacey and Dawson are there. Pacey says, and this just made like my skin crawl.
Oh, no.
He's like, oh, I'm going to order, what's that food that makes women horny?
Oh,
do you remember that part?
Oysters.
And they're like, oysters. He's like, that's what I want. Pack them up, Joey. Pack up the oysters. And I was like, wow. Again, it's bad writing.
I know.
And I love the writing on this show. Okay. So I don't just throw that out lightly, but I'm like, that is so gross.
I know.
And cringe. And then what, you're just going to take oysters to like, what?
To your
Are
teacher?
you taking them
Here's
to
some
her?
oysters?
And like, she's not going to know why you would do that. Cause like, that's kind of a known
Weird.
aphrodisiac.
And like, what 15-year-old can afford a big old plate of oysters anyways?
Right?
But whatever.
Anyway,
yeah.
that's another story.
Bad
Okay,
writing.
so the ending, yes.
Okay, so the ending, the final scene in the show is where Pacey and Miss Jacobs are like, they're obviously like post-coital. They're naked and they're cuddling on the ground outside while Jen and Dawson are hiding in the bushes and they don't realize who is over there. Like,
Yeah.
y'all. No, sir. No, sir.
So that is so gross. The whole thing.
I know.
Gross. I did have a moment where I was like, if this was not a grown person and a child, the narrative storytelling here isn't bad. That like it's relatively smart that Dawson and Jen hide.
Oh, right. Yes.
And then the video camera's still going
right.
and they don't know who it is. And even the way when they first walked on and they were kind of blurry.
Yeah.
You thought it was Dawson's mom, maybe.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And her, like, whatever. And you're like, oh my God, Dawson's going to accidentally film his mom having sex. Like, whatever. And then you realize who it is. But I was like, that was written well. And that's a good end of an episode. But like the subjects of it are so... Because the episode ends and you're like, oh, well, Dawson's going to learn about this.
Right.
It's recorded.
And
they
I remember
literally
what
just
happens.
made a sex tape.
Yeah, I remember what happens next, but I won't go into it.
Don't tell me. But yeah, but like I was like, it's a shame.
Yeah.
Because that could be like, not that I thought Joey should like necessarily have sex with, I just said, this guy she just met, but maybe it's like a different like relationship.
Yeah.
And then like that's how it's found out or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, the writing would have been great if it wasn't acceptable pedophilia. Again, that's like my keywords this whole season because it's just so I am interested when we are done with this season to go back, like I said the last time, and see what they all say now.
I totally agree. Maybe we can split it up. Like you research certain actors and I research, or you research Kevin and I do, or something like that. And then I'm sure a lot of it crosses over too.
Oh, I'm sure.
There's probably articles where they interview everybody or interviews on YouTube or podcasts, right?
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm sure there's stuff everywhere. But yeah, I'd be interested too because I just can't believe that some of these writers and actors and even the creator of the show could stand by these things still.
Right? And wasn't this during, do you remember in the 90s, the teacher who got...
Yes, Mary Kay Letourneau?
Or something like that.
It was after because she was like early to mid 90s, I think.
So this was after that.
This would have been after.
Yeah, the teacher that she was having an affair with her student. Then they got married.
Yeah, they're like still married, I think. They had
I don't know.
Children, I think.
I don't know. It was, but it was the same kind of age, and I think they started their affair when he was like 14.
She pleaded guilty in 97.
So it's around.
So it's around this.
So I'm wondering if that
was on the news before that.
I'm wondering if that was the inspiration for the storyline.
She was 34. He was 12.
12. My bad.
Yikes. But just bump that up 3 years each, and you've got the ages of Miss Jacobs and Pacey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 6th grade.
Oh my gosh. So that's like our kids' age.
Yeah, and maybe we'll do or maybe we won't do a whole episode on this, but
no. I don't want
while she was awaiting sentencing, she had his child.
Girl, no.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll move on from that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, so like
lots. Okay. I do have more goods than bads, but that's just because the Pacey stuff is so big.
It's so big.
I've got like one line quotes as like goods, but like the bads are just like.
And it's frustrating because I feel like they didn't need to put that in there to make this show good.
Right.
You know?
Totally agree.
Like they totally could have done a different kind of spin on something where he's sneaking around with somebody else for whatever reason that's his age.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah,
I mean,
like
who knows?
Who knows? Like even if it was like Dawson's ex-girlfriend.
That's what I was thinking.
Something like that. Like something
normal. Well, normal is relative. Something legal.
Something legal. Yeah. Normal is relative. Yeah. It doesn't have to be normal.
Non-abusive.
Just non-abusive and legal and consensual.
Correct.
Which a 15-year-old cannot consent. Period.
Right. Yeah.
Not to an adult. Doesn't matter if they say yes. It is non-consensual. Period.
Yep. Period. Dot. End of sentence.
Even like a storyline where like maybe, because Pacey's so charismatic.
Yeah.
Where maybe he is, but when he's around a certain girl, he's not.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to like navigate that. Like, because why am I acting so weird
well,
when I'm
they
around
have
her or whatever.
I don't know if you remember the second season. Like, we're jumping ahead, but they bring in like some new characters in season 2.
Yes.
Okay, so you remember. Mm-hmm. And I feel like they could have done that in this season, but maybe I don't know. Like, that would have been better to have as a storyline than this.
And Pacey's so likable.
I know.
Really, any storyline they gave him, he would have been a popular character.
Oh, yeah. And you can make him edgy and rebel and whatever without that. Anyways.
Absolutely.
All right. So that was season 1, episode 3.
Yes.
Yep.
So if you had any similar thoughts, reach out to us. Let us know. Rewatch it.
Yeah.
Wherever you watch. We watch on Amazon Prime, but wherever. If you like this Dawson's Creek, this is just kind of bonus content, right? We're not replacing any of our normal episodes, just in case there's people that don't want to listen to Dawson's Creek. But if you do like it, let us know.
Yeah.
Let us know your thoughts, because that'll just help us decide. And a lot of you have asked if we're going to do other nostalgic or problematic. We have one coming up soon.
Yes.
That's going to be a standalone episode for my birthday. So stick around for that. It's a movie actually that we both love. So that's going to be a lot of fun to talk about. I cannot wait for that. I wonder if we should do like smiley faces, sad faces, hearts, and X's for that.
Yeah.
When we rewatch
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, and we'll do some background on it too.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's another podcast, so never mind. So in the meantime, be sure to follow us on social if you don't already. Facebook, Instagram. We also have a YouTube channel, Generation In Between Podcast, that will be populating content very soon. So if you subscribe now, you'll make sure you're able to see all of that. And you can leave us a review. Any of those places, comments. All of those things help us. We've had a really big bump in listeners.
Yay!
A lot of people have liked some of the content, of course. I also think it's just because you all have been leaving reviews.
Yeah,
listening to us consistently. Because there's, podcasts, a lot of podcasts start and they call it pod fade.
Yeah.
And then they don't keep going. But we've got close to 30 episodes now, I think.
Yeah.
And every week something new. And every week people are hitting play.
Yay.
And so that signals to the directories. It's like an algorithm.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a real podcast. People are coming back to it. People don't listen for 5 seconds and turn it off. I mean, maybe some people do. But not y'all. If you're listening right now, it's not you. And if you listened to us chewing gum for the last episode, well, we didn't do it in the mic.
Hopefully, we haven't listened back yet. We'll see.
Talking about chewing gum, the editing on that one might be a little tricky, but it'll be fun. Then, you're not those people. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, even if all you do is listen every week and you never leave a comment and you never leave a review and you don't join Patreon, it helps us.
Yes.
Because they see that you are coming back. So we appreciate that. If that is like all you have the bandwidth for is just to hit play and laugh along with us or shake your head or be like, oh, Pacey.
I know.
That actually helps us.
It does.
So we love you. We love you for it. And thank you so much. And we'll see you next time.
See you
back
next time.
on Generation In Between.
Bye.
Bye.